and welcome to MS-DOS 6 Literacy from Silicon Mountain. In this video, we will go over the basics of DOS Shell using a mouse and the latest utilities in DOS 6, including memory maker, data compression, multi-configurations, antivirus protection, disk optimization, file recovery, and disk fragmentation. DOS was introduced in 1981 and has become the most widely used operating system in the world, with over 40 million users worldwide. For now, MS-DOS is the operating system for most PC users. DOS Intelligence gives you the tools to organize your work, be more productive, and make your computer faster. Now let's talk about the requirements necessary to run MS-DOS version 6.0 on your PC. The mouse and color monitor are optional, although it's easier to move around in the shell with a mouse and easier to see with the color monitor. In this video, we will assume DOS 6 has been installed on your PC and we will be using a mouse. If you do not have a mouse on your system, you can substitute by using the Tab key. The DOS shell eliminates memorizing commands and reduces typing at the prompt. Again, by using the shell, you can access all the DOS features without having to memorize all the commands. It makes using DOS easier for anyone. Through the menus and helpful screen prompts, the shell enables you to use the listed files, directory names, and perform tasks easily and quickly. Initially, the shell displays a small window in the center of the screen which contains the message, "Reading disk information." The shell reads the file information on the hard drive and then removes the window and displays the listing that is on the screen. At the top line of the screen, the title bar displays the program name, MS-DOS Shell. The second line of the screen displays a menu bar. You can select all the DOS shell commands from these pull-down menus. Just below the menu bar, the DOS shell window displays the disk drive area, A, B, or C, which highlights the current disk drive and available disk drives. The bottom line of the DOS shell window is the status line. The status line usually displays two messages, F10 Actions and Shift F9 Command Prompt. Occasionally, the status line will show other messages related to the command you may be using. Between the drive area and the status line, the shell divides the screen into rectangular areas, and each area has a title bar. On the right side of each area is a scroll bar, which you can use to move around quickly. The directory tree area is in the upper left rectangle. This area of the screen shows directories of the current drive. The file list area in the upper right rectangle shows the names, sizes, and dates in the current directory. The name of the current directory appears in the area title bar. The bottom half of the DOS shell window is called the Program List area. The title bar is Main. This area of the screen serves as a menu for starting DOS programs and for accessing DOS utility programs. At times, the active task list area may be displayed in the DOS shell window. This area displays the names of the DOS features activated by Task Swapper. You can display as many as 5 windows on the screen simultaneously, but you can only use one window at a time. An area must be selected before performing a command. After you select the area title bar is highlighted, which indicates the section is active. Let's practice highlighting the area and scrolling within the window using a mouse. First, move the mouse pointer to the upper right area and highlight with the left mouse button. The file list area title bar is active. Now let's move to the top and bottom by clicking on the down arrow and then the up arrow of the scroll bar. Click the scroll bar down arrow and hold the left mouse button down to scroll continuously in the direction of the arrow. When the disk drive area, directory tree area, or file list area is active, the menu bar lists 5 menu names. These are File, Options, View, Tree, and Help. Move the mouse pointer to the menu bar and select File. The shell displays a pull-down menu, which shows a list of the items below. Depending on which area is active, certain items will appear. The tree menu name does not appear when the program list shown as main or active task list is the active window. When a menu is pulled down, you can display an adjacent menu by pressing the left or right arrow key. To cancel a pull-down menu without making a selection, press the Escape key or simply click on the menu name. When the DOS shell lists menu items, it displays one of the following. 1. 3 periods, otherwise known as the ellipsis. 2. Grade item, not valid option at this time. Or 3. The diamond, which is simply a toggle switch for on and off. Now let's go to the File menu option and click on it. The first line of the pull-down menu displays an ellipsis, which means it wants more information. When you click on this, an information window appears. This window is called a dialog box. There are two kinds of dialog boxes, those that request information and those that provide information. Next, a menu item that is grayed or dimmed is not a valid option in the current menu. They are activated only when certain menu options are chosen. And the last ones are menu items that toggle on and off. A menu item that is toggled on will display a small diamond to the left of the item name. The diamond is absent when the item is turned off. Now that you have seen the basics of using the shell with a mouse, it's time to format your floppies and protect the original program disks. This feature is called a disk utility. You probably know a new floppy disk must be prepared to receive information. To do this, select Format from the Disk Utilities group. There are two types of floppy disk drives, 5 1/4 inch and 3 1/2 inch. The most commonly used is a 3 1/2 inch. There are also two sizes of diskettes, which pertains to the amount of data storage. One, HD, or high density 5 1/4 inch, will hold 1.2 megabytes of information. A 3 1/2 inch HD, or high density, will hold 1.44 megabytes. A 5 1/4 inch DD, or double-sided double density, will hold 360K, about 1/3 the storage of a high-density 5 1/4 inch. The 3 1/2 inch DD, or double-sided double density, holds 720K, which is about half the storage space as that of a high-density 3 1/2 inch. A high-density 5 1/4 inch usually has no hub ring in the middle. A high-density 3 1/2 inch will always have HD imprinted somewhere. This may be confusing, so you may want to rewind the tape and hear it again, because this is an area that causes problems for many people. Back to the Utilities menu. You can see the dialog box is waiting for more information or confirmation to proceed. Press Enter or click on OK, and it will start the Format command on the A drive. Insert a new diskette for Drive A and press Enter when ready. DOS will take over and erase any data on your diskette. It electronically lays down a pattern of marks which make up the tracks and sectors. Diskettes can be formatted many times over. When the formatting is complete, you are prompted to enter an internal label. The label can be any name up to 11 characters long. It can be used to identify diskettes without taking the time to look at all the files. We will use our company name, Silicon. The following message appears. Volume label, 11 characters, enter for none. DOS also shows you how much information is on the disk and how much space is available. Then it will ask you if you want to format another diskette. If you type Y for yes and press Enter, the process will begin again. If you are finished formatting, simply enter N for no. When the process is completed, the message, press any key to return to the MS-DOS shell appears. Your disk is now ready to receive data. Another frequently used DOS command is disk copy. This command allows you to make an exact copy of a disk, provided it is the identical size and type. Double-click with the left mouse button on Disk Copy from Disk Utilities. A dialog box appears showing source and destination drives. Simply type AA since you are making a copy using only one drive. DOS will then use Drive A to read the source disk and Drive A again to write the target diskette. Depending on the size of your master disk, the computer will continue to prompt you to enter source and then target disks until the cycle is completed. Finally, DOS wants to know if you would like to copy another diskette. Yes or no. Type N for no. Just like formatting, if you type Y for yes, the copy process will start again. A prompt will appear to press any key to return to the DOS shell. Up to this point, you've learned how to make screen choices and select items from any place on the screen. Let's use those skills you have learned to set up the screen with nice looking colors and a good resolution. To access the choices, click the menu bar and pull down the Options menu. Select Colors and you will see a box. If you have a color monitor, try the basic blue or ocean. For monochrome users, try monochrome, 4 colors, or reverse. You can preview without changing the current color scheme by pressing the preview button located at the bottom of the dialog box. If you like the color, just press Enter or the OK button and the box will disappear and DOS will use that color. In addition to changing colors, you can also change screen modes, which is simply screen resolution. Again, use the option pull-down menu and choose Display. This brings up the Screen Mode dialog box, and by selecting one you can control high or low resolution and text or graphics mode. In text mode, you will notice visible differences. The mouse pointer now appears as a reverse video solid triangle, and the icons that were beside most of the items have been removed. For simplicity, we chose 25 lines low resolution in the graphics mode. This graphics mode is more eye-appealing and low resolution is easier on the eye. This is a very sound ergonomic practice. For further ergonomic information, Silicon has another video titled Your Computer and Your Health. Now that you've learned the fundamentals of DOS, entered a few simple commands, and prepared your diskettes, you are ready to learn about file management. In DOS, file and directory management is the most important part, and the part of DOS most people have trouble with. It's not hard to master with DOS 6.0, as you will see. Program files you purchase should be stored on your hard disk, and data files you create should be stored in a partition of your hard disk, or better yet, a floppy. There are several ways of viewing the program and file information on your screen. Let's start by using View from the menu bar and click the Single File List. This view means the entire screen displays the files in a single directory. From time to time, you may want to see lists and directories and files from 2 disks at the same time, or perhaps you want to copy a file from one disk to another, or maybe you want to compare the lists of files on one disk to the list of files on another disk. The second choice in View is Dual File List. Select View from the menu bar and click on Dual File List. It splits the screen, giving you the option of viewing and selecting files in 2 directories at once. The third choice on the View menu is All Files List. On the right side of the screen, the shell displays an alphabetical list of the file names of all files on the current disk. The shell also lists, on the left side of the screen, information about the currently selected file. The next choice on the View window is Program File Lists. The first time you start the shell, a window displays the directory tree area, the file list area, and the program list area. You will see this throughout the video. The final choice is Program List, which displays only the program management portion of the shell and also gives you menu options. Now let's perform some file operations between files and directories that are most common. First, select Files in the Files area. Click on AutoExec BAT and then choose File from the menu bar. Click on Copy and the dialog box appears. Change the to from C directory to A directory and select OK or press Enter. You just copied a file from the hard disk to a floppy disk. This function can be performed in any directory. If you have a word processor, it would be a good practice to keep your letters and data files on a floppy disk. Remember, copy does not remove files from the hard drive, just makes a mirror image to another disk or directory area. You can also copy multiple files with the copy command. If the files you want to copy are a consecutive group of files, just press and hold down the Control key and click on each file you want to copy. Hold down the Control key and the left mouse button to drag the files into the target directory. If the files are not consecutive, you can press and hold down the Control key and click on each of the files you want to copy. Now hold down the Control key and the left mouse button to drag the files over to the target directory. Move is very similar to copy. However, the move command physically moves the files from one place to another. To use this function, simply hold down the Shift key and click with the left mouse button on the files you want to move. Hold down the Shift key and the left mouse button to drag the files to a new location. Remember, to do it this way, the files must be a consecutive group. As you select multiple files, you are not limited to selecting files whose names fit in the small directory area on your screen. If you wish to select multiple files whose names do not appear on the same screen, simply keep the Control key depressed while scrolling to another portion of the list. Completing the selection process will then include files that may not be visible at the same time. DOS keeps track of any or all files you've selected no matter where they are located in your file list. The Options menu provides controls for the DOS shell. We discovered earlier how to change colors and detailed displays within the Options menu. Let's look at more features available in the Options menu. You can direct which types of files are displayed and in what order, limit and widen the selection process. Click the Options menu from the menu bar. Look at the first choice in the menu, which is Confirmation. There are 3 options available. You can ask the system to alert you, or not, when a file deletion or replacement is about to take place. We recommend Alert On. Confirm on Delete also toggles on and off. The default setting is On and marked with an X. This confirmation box warns you that the file will be deleted and prompts you to confirm your request or withdraw it. Since deleting a file with confirmation on will not be a single-step operation, it requires a few extra seconds to execute. The Confirm On Replace setting protects you in the same way by requiring a confirmation. The final choice of the confirmation dialog box, Confirm On Mouse, allows you to move or copy with your mouse. The second choice on the Options menu controls the file name that appears on the screen. This enables you to specify which files are to be displayed from each directory you select, what order they are to be displayed in, and more file and directory management. Let's try using this option by clicking on File Extension. After selecting the OK button, DOS redisplays file names by extension in alphabetical order. This is a handy feature when you are manipulating many files with the same extension. Take some time and try the other choices and see which ones you like. You can always continue the video later. The third choice on the Options menu, Select Across Directories, is very powerful. It's merely a toggle, but when you select it from the Option menu, a diamond-shaped symbol appears on the left. This indicates that the toggle has been selected and is on. The ability to select files from more than one directory means that you can choose files to copy, erase, and move from virtually anywhere on your disks. Quite different from past DOS versions. When Select Across Directories is turned on, you can tell DOS to apply specified actions to files that are located in many different directories automatically. For example, with a single move command, you can put all the files selected into one directory. Let us show you how this works and how it can make your work faster. First, we'll select some files from the directory called temp1. We're holding down the Shift key and selecting a few files, and then we're going to the directory temp2 and select a few more files. Now all we have to do is hold down the Shift key and left mouse button and drag to the directory called temp3. We have just moved all the files selected into the directory called temp3. Let's take a look at this file. With this feature, you can regroup scattered files throughout your computer into one directory. Staying organized is good preventative medicine for your PC. The fourth choice on the Options menu is called Show Information. This pop-up window displays 4 categories. Number 1, File, which shows the name and attributes of the currently highlighted file. Number 2, Selected, which shows the number of files selected and on which shows the total number of bytes occupied selected files. Number 3, Directory, which shows the number and total size in bytes of files in the current directory. And number 4, Disk, which displays the organization of the current drive, including total used space, available space, and total number of files and directories. This information can be important when you need to know how much space is left on a drive. There are a few more file operations you should know about to make your work faster. Let's look at deleting and renaming files in more detail. Most computer users accumulate a variety of programs over the years, and rarely take time to clean up their hard disk by erasing unnecessary files. Be careful though, the keywords are unnecessary files. We're selecting all of the files from the directory temp3 and then using the delete command from the file menu. Or you can simply use the delete key. This brings up another dialog box. You must now press enter or click on OK with the mouse to ask DOS to complete the deletion request. Since the Confirm on Delete toggle is on, it will display a delete file confirmation box, which displays each file to be deleted and asks you to confirm the deletion of each file individually. There may be times when you want to change file names or simply wish to give a file a more understandable name. You can change the name of a file without affecting its contents. The Rename File dialog box appears with the old file name and will accept a replacement name. Running programs on a hard disk is much more convenient than using diskettes, but to take full advantage of a hard disk, you must learn how to arrange and manage your disk so that you can simplify your work and get the most out of your programs. It's always a good idea to create a separate directory for files that are related to one another. Having similar and related files together makes it easier and faster to use them. For example, your letters in the word processor should all be grouped under a directory called \letters. First we'll highlight the cprompt \, or the root directory, and go to the File menu from the menu bar to select Create Directory. The dialog box appears again, so type a new directory name called temp4. You can use up to 8 characters and, if you like, a period and up to 3 extension letters as well. The graphic directory tree on the left is automatically updated to show Drive C's added directory. If you want to delete a directory from a disk, you must first remove all of its files. Only after you empty a directory can you delete it from the directory tree. That is also a safety feature, so valuable directories cannot be erased by mistake. Let's delete the directory from the drive. Since the directory is empty, you can select it from the tree and press delete. The Confirm on Delete was turned on, a confirmation box appears and waits for your choice. Answer yes to delete the directory. There are many ways to start a program in DOS. We will demonstrate all of the possibilities and you can select the ones that will work best for you. Our first example is DOS's check disk, since it is a utility that will come in handy when you set up your directory structure. The shell provides you with 4 methods to start any program. The first 3 methods require that the program's location and the DOS directory must be selected in the directory tree. The first method is highlighting Check Disk Execute in the Files area with your keyboard using the Tab and arrow keys. Then press Enter to start the program. The second method is using your mouse. Simply double-click on the line containing the name Check Disk Execute. The third method is choosing Check Disk Execute with either the mouse or the keyboard and then selecting File from the menu bar. Choose Open from the Option File menu and the program will run. When you choose a program using any of these methods, the process is automatic. If another screen comes up, it temporarily takes the place of the shell screen and you are not returned to the shell until you respond to the prompt. Press any key to return the MS-DOS shell. All these methods give you the time to read the output before returning to the shell. A fourth method to start a program is to select Run from the File option on the menu bar. It enables you to execute any program on any disk at any time. It also pauses the video screen when the program completes its execution. We've typed in the dialog box the complete path name of the program we want to run, followed by a parameter indicating the drive name to check. cprompt DOS check disk cprompt. Individual program names like check disk can be placed in the shell's program areas and run quickly by simply selecting them. Let's try this option. Double-click on Disk Utilities. From this part of the screen, when you select the File option, you can see the menu. The File menu changes according to the shell's context. For example, if you highlight one of the choices in the program group, such as Disk Copy, the File menu displays options that apply to programs. Let us show you how the main and disk utilities program groups can be modified to extend DOS's abilities. We're going to add check disk to the Disk Utilities group. You can do it by first selecting New from the File menu to bring up the New Program Object dialog box. This dialog box offers two choices: a new entry Program Item or a group of choices Program Group. Let's first select Program Item. After selecting Program Item, the Add Program dialog box appears. You can now give DOS the name of any utility program to run. The Add Program dialog box permits you to define a good deal about what happens behind the scenes when you add a new program item. You see only what you type in the program title field. The command field specifies what actually runs when the user chooses the menu item. Each new program item that you add to any menu appears immediately on the shell's menu list. All of the options in this dialog box are known as properties. Once you've added a program to a program group list, you can later change any of the initial properties. You select Properties from the File menu after you've highlighted the program entry that you want to modify. Other than the program title and commands entry, the remaining properties are optional. Startup Directory defines the directory that will be current when your program runs. Application Shortcut Key offers a quick single keystroke method of selecting and executing a program. This enables you to use what is known as a hotkey to switch to individual tasks. Pause after exit defines whether or not DOS pauses the screen display after the program has completed and before the shell screen redisplays. Password will enforce a restriction on who can actually run the program. Only a person who knows the password can start the program. Let us show you an example of a new program group and item. First, return to the main program group and add a group called Applications. After choosing New from the File menu and Program Group from the New Program Object dialog box, the Add Group dialog box appears. Use this to enter the application's group title. You will notice we have used upper and lower case letters in the title field. Entering applications in the title field directs DOS to add the new group name to the main program list. After completing the entry on the Add Group screen, you select OK to store the information. DOS immediately updates the main group screen to reflect this new group item. In order to define application program entries for this new applications group, you must pull down the File menu and select New to add your first program to this group. Now let's enter the program item. Select File menu and choose New. Type in the program title. Let's use WordPerfect. Startup Directory and type cprompt \WP51. Select OK. This concludes the first module of DOS 6.0. You may want to take some time to practice what you've learned. Let's proceed to our second module, which covers the most exciting new features of DOS 6.0, such as the Edit program, the Memory Maker program, data compression, the antivirus protection utility, disk optimization defragmentation, file recovery, the backup program, and multi-configuration menus. Let's get started by using the new DOS built-in utility programs. DOS includes a full-screen menu-based text editor called Edit. You can use Edit to create any text-based file, including files of information to be used by your other application programs. You can also write programs with Edit. It is normally used to write batch files that customize your DOS system, making your work much faster. Batch files execute many commands at once. Now select the main program group in the DOS shell. Double-click on Editor. A dialog box appears requesting the name of the text file you wish to modify. For demonstration, let's modify the autoexec bat file to include DOS shell as part of the automatic startup when you first turn on your PC. You may even want to use this example on your PC. It's a great shortcut. Type autoexec bat on the line File to Edit. Then select OK. At this point, you should have similar statements on your screen as the ones shown. Go to the end of the file and type on a new line DOS shell, being careful to use uppercase letters. Now end the edit program by pressing the Alt key. The menu is now highlighted. Press F for File, which displays a pull-down menu, and press X for Exit. A dialog box appears with the question, "Loaded file is not saved. Save it now?" Select Yes. This will save the changes that you have made to your AutoExec BAT file. However, it will not take effect until you restart or reboot your machine. You can create a new batch or text file in the same way. Click on Editor from the main menu and type New Text on the line File to Edit. A blank screen will appear. Now you can type text or create a batch file. Take some time and play with it. When you are done, press the Alt key and the letter F, then X, and Enter or Y for yes. Exit the DOS shell by pressing F3. You should be at the C prompt, in other words, the root directory. Let's go on to one of the nicest new features of DOS 6. That is Memory Maker. Memory Maker can automatically make decisions on how best to use existing memory. You can run the Memory Maker program by simply typing memmaker at the DOS prompt. Memory Maker allocates more conventional memory by modifying your configuration system and AutoExec BAT files. Specifically, it makes more efficient use of the upper memory blocks. When Memory Maker begins, a sequence of screens will appear. Each screen will list various highlighted choices. All you have to do is press Enter to accept a highlighted choice. The alternative is to press the spacebar to display other options. Memory Maker offers two principal ways to optimize your memory. After pressing Enter to continue the program, a second screen appears. Select Express Setup and Memory Maker will analyze your system files. If you had selected Custom Setup, Memory Maker would allow you to make the changes to your key system files. In this video, we will let Memory Maker do the changes for you. Look for an advanced video from Silicon which will cover Custom Setup. Again, since we've selected Express Setup, Memory Maker will make the changes. When it finishes analyzing, it will reboot your computer twice. Memory Maker reboots a first time using a special Sizer utility program to assess the memory requirements of each program and the device driver. Memory Maker then analyzes all possible configurations for optimum performance. Once Memory Maker chooses the best startup, your configuration systems and AutoExec BAT files will automatically be adjusted. The second booting occurs here to activate the changes. Once the rebooting and adjustment steps are complete, your system will be successfully running with the device drivers and programs that work the best in upper memory. More conventional memory will then be made available for application programs. The final step in the Memory Maker process includes a query to determine whether or not your system is working correctly. Now look at the screen that displays the optimization summary. The columns before and after show the changes that were made. Memory Maker places your programs and device drivers in order and in the most efficient locations. It is advisable to run Memory Maker again when your system changes or if you add or delete programs and device drivers. Next, let's explore the data compression utility program called Doublespace. This is probably the best and most useful tool in DOS 6. Using Doublespace provides one major advantage. The amount of data you can store on your hard disk is approximately doubled because it is squeezing more information into less space. The exact amount of additional data you can store varies depending upon the characteristics of the data itself. The first time you type doublespace from the C prompt, in other words the root directory, the doublespace setup program will execute. Type doublespace at the C prompt. The screen that appears offers two choices. 1. Express Setup, and 2. Custom Setup. Let's choose Custom Setup here. Doublespace must only be used on computers that have no previous compression software loaded. Doublespace will also allow you to select the drive to be compressed. When doublespace compresses the C drive, it creates another drive called H. It is now the compressed drive with double the space. It will automatically leave any amount of uncompressed drive space on C that you choose. To choose it, press Enter and use the up-down arrow keys to change the uncompressed space on C as you like. One final screen appears in this process. This screen estimates the time necessary to compress the indicated drive. If you decide to go ahead with the compression, just press C at this point. To cancel the request, press the Escape key. Be careful. Compression is like a one-way street. Once you have compressed a drive, it cannot be uncompressed. The next module is about virus prevention. To prevent viruses, DOS 6 has a program called vsafe. This is a memory resident program that will guard your system against the unwanted effects of certain viruses. It also includes a program called msave, which can detect existing system viruses and clear them out of your system after detection. Viruses invade your system in different ways. If the virus is contained within a data file, it can be transmitted onto your system when you open the file and attempt to use it in one of your applications. If the virus is contained in the boot sector of a disk, it can easily spread to any diskette that is read from or written to the infected computer. Silicon has another video called Security and Viruses, which takes an hour to detail that subject. Here are a few additional suggestions for preventing virus infection. Write protect your command com file. It is one of the most frequent targets of attack. Place write protection tabs on your 5 1/4 inch and 3 1/2 inch diskettes and all original program diskettes. Use the msave program to inspect all new disks. Install the program vsafe, especially if you frequently use programs, files, or disks from other systems on your computer. To use vsafe, install it in your autoexec backed file. Use the edit function we talked about earlier and type vsafe in the last line of the autoexec bat file. This program guards against virus attacks. However, if the virus makes it into your system anyway, run msave immediately to try and isolate and remove the virus. To run the msave program, you can initiate it at any command prompt with the following command line, msave \C. The \C scans the disk and files for viruses, then removes any discovered viruses automatically. For better viewing, you can also bring up a full-screen graphic interface by typing msave. If the current default drive C prompt is not the one you'd like to scan, you would choose the Select New Drive option. msave will display a line of drive identifiers near the top of the screen. Just highlight the one you'd like to scan, then press Enter. The main menu will appear. This offers several options. If you select the first one, Detect, it identifies viruses found on the system. The second choice will automatically scan and remove any viruses found. Progress windows will appear during the scanning operation to inform you of the results. Next, choose Options. A screen will display a list of choices to make. The Options screen gives you the opportunity to customize msave. For additional help, you can press F1 when an option is highlighted to find out more details about that option. After you have used msave to scan a drive, you may notice that each directory contains a file called checklist.ms. This file contains identifying information called checksums about the files in that directory. Each time msave scans the files in that directory again, it can compare the current status of the file against information in the checklist.ms file. If a file has become infected since the checklist.ms file was created, the checksums indicate that a change has occurred. Let's look at another nice feature called Defragmenting the hard disk. If all you ever did with your hard disk was add files, the space available on your disk would be used efficiently. DOS would add one file and then another to your disk, with each file being stored continuously. However, most people do more than just add files. Normal use of a hard disk includes adding new files, deleting existing files, and adding new data to the existing files. Over time, data becomes scattered over the disk, and even the data within a single file may reside in chunks throughout the disk. This scattering of data is called fragmentation. The more fragmented your disk, the slower your computer runs. Fragmentation, which is inevitable, tends to increase over the life of the hard disk. DOS 6.0 provides a new feature called Defrag. A dialog box appears asking which drive you want to defragment. Select C by clicking on the drive letter and then press Enter. Defrag scans the selected drive and displays a map of the used and unused portions. After Defrag displays the map, it suggests one of the following actions. 1. Do nothing. If the disk is not fragmented, Defrag tells you that you don't need to perform any operation. Defragment files. If most of the data in the used area of the disk is stored together, but the individual files are scattered throughout that area, Defrag recommends that you defragment the files. After Defrag completes this operation, the same area of the disk will be in use, but the data in that area is rearranged so the data for each file is stored together. In other words, organized. 3. Defragment the disk. If the used area of the disk is scattered throughout, Defrag recommends that you defragment the disk. Defrag rearranges the used areas on the disk so the used portions of the disk are at the beginning of the disk and the data for each file is stored continuously. The Defrag Optimize menu, located at the top left corner of the screen, provides all the features of the DOS fragmentation program. You can prepare for the optimization by choosing Drive, Method, Sort, and Map Legend before beginning the actual defragmentation with the Begin choice. Let's try it. Choose C for the drive, and then go to Optimization Method, and a pull-down menu will display a dialog box that offers two choices: Full Optimization or Unfragment Files Only. Select Unfragment Files Only, and then select OK. The next choice is Sort. A dialog box appears which enables you to select the ordering that Defrag will impose on the defragmented files when it rewrites all directory entries. You can order files according to name, extension, data, time, or size. The Map Legend choice on the Optimize menu merely explains each of the legend entries seen at the bottom right of the screen. These entries represent Defrag's graphic notation for your disk. You should defragment your hard disk on a regular basis. Weekly would be best. However, if you have just deleted a large number of files on your disk, use the Defrag program as soon as possible. DOS 6.0 also includes a feature that will recover files if accidentally erased. The DOS 6.0 setup program enables you to install both a DOS and Windows version of Undelete. When a file is deleted from a DOS directory, DOS doesn't actually erase the contents of the file. This would take quite some time for some files, depending on the size of the file being erased. Instead, DOS makes only a minor adjustment to the directory table that contains the names of the files and subdirectories. By erasing only the first character of the file name, DOS signals itself that the entire file represented by that name is to be treated as unavailable or erased. Because of this simplified technique, it is possible to reclaim or undelete a previously deleted file. The undelete command also offers 3 levels of protection against accidental loss of data. 1. Delete Sentry, 2. Delete Tracker, and 3. Standard. Delete Sentry provides the most security against accidental deletion. However, it does use up some of your memory and disk space. At this level, DOS creates a hidden directory called Sentry. When you delete a file, DOS doesn't really delete it, but moves the file to the Sentry directory. If, at a later time, you decide to undelete the file, DOS simply moves the file back to its original location. DOS does not permit Sentry to grow beyond 7% of your hard disk space. If you delete a file that causes your Sentry directory to expand beyond that percentage, DOS deletes the oldest file in your Sentry directory to make room for the new file. Next, Delete Tracker is less secure than Delete Sentry. This level is less powerful than Delete Sentry because it only retains the name and disk location of the most recently deleted disk files. If a particular file name is one of the entries in the deletion tracking file, you can still recover it even if the DOS directory table no longer lists it. And the last level is Standard. This level is the least reliable, but it is always available and uses no extra disk space or memory. If you delete a file, DOS allows you to undelete it using information that may exist in the files directory and in the FAT allocation table, provided that you have not created a new file that reuses the old file's disk space. If you decide to use the standard level of protection, you don't need to take any action to start the protection. If you are using a higher level, you must include an undelete command in your autoexec bat file to load the memory resident portion of undelete and to specify the type of protection you want. To start undelete, insert this line in the autoexec bat file using the edit command discussed earlier. Type edit autoexec bat. If you want to use delete sentry, specify the \s switch followed by the drive letter you want to protect. To protect several drives, you can specify several \s switches. Type this line below the last line in the autoexec bat file, undelete \sc. When you reboot your machine, the command in the autoexec file will print the following message on the screen. Undelete, a delete protection facility. Copyright 1987-1993, Central Point Software Incorporated. All rights reserved. Undelete loaded. Delete protection method is delete sentry. Enabled for drive C. Initializing sentry control file on drive C. If you decide to use undelete with delete tracker, use the \t switch instead of \s. As in delete sentry, you can use more than one switch. If you decide to use this, type undelete \tc in the autoexec bat file. If you want to use undelete on network drives, you must use delete sentry, and you must have permission to read, write, create files, and delete files from the drive's root directory. One of the disadvantages of hard disks is that if they fail or crash, all the information stored on them can be lost. Backing up your hard drive onto tapes or floppies or onto another hard drive regularly can save hours of recreating files and data that are lost. Depending on how frequently you create new data files or update old ones, you may want to back up your disk every day, week, or every month. DOS offers a backup program that can back up all of your files or only those that have changed since a preceding backup. It's called MS Backup. Let's look at it in detail. A backup cycle is the entire span of time that begins with a complete backup of an entire set of files and includes all subsequent changes to those files. These three backup options, full, incremental, and differential, offer their own advantages and disadvantages. A full backup copies all the files you indicate, regardless of whether some or most of them have remained unchanged since your last backup. The incremental backup copies only files that have been changed since a time you specify. Files that are unchanged will not be written to the backup media, making for a faster backup, and differential backups make copies of all files changed since the last full backup. This will include files that have been written on the last incremental backup. When MS Backup runs, it presents the main graphics screen displayed on the screen. If this is the first time you've run the MS Backup program, however, you'll first receive the following alert message. The disk compatibility test has not been performed on this system. Reliable disk backups cannot be guaranteed until the compatibility test has been completed successfully. You must click on the compatibility test button in the Configure dialog box before you can back up for the first time. This instructs MS Backup to verify that your system is prepared to back up files successfully. This test automatically performs its own small file backup, followed by a file compare. The only thing you need to specify is the drive you want your backup files on, and the rest of the test is completely automated like other features of DOS 6.0. A message appears on the screen during this test requiring diskettes. You will need 2 floppy disks of the same type as discussed earlier for this test. When the test is completed, this message will appear on the screen. The compatibility test has been completed successfully. You can now make reliable disk backups. Now you are ready to back up some or all files from the hard disk. Select Backup from the main MS Backup screen. This brings up a screen that is shown. From here, you can specify the files to back up, where to write the files, and the type of backup, that is full, incremental, or differential. Before you can back up anything less than a complete hard drive, you must first instruct MS Backup which files you want to back up. To do this, choose the Select Files button from the backup screen. This displays a selection screen. This screen offers a number of options to tell MS Backup which files are to be backed up. So, to select individual files, you should first move the cursor and highlight the desired directory in the graphic tree area on the left screen. We'll highlight the DOS directory as an example. As you highlight a directory name, the files contained within the directory appear in the Files area to the right of the screen. To select all the files in a directory, move the highlight into the Files area with the right arrow key and just press the spacebar when the directory name is highlighted. To select or deselect an individual file name, press the spacebar when the file name itself is highlighted. As we select files in the screen, MS Backup instantly updates the selection file below the directory and file area. This line indicates that X amount of files have been currently selected out of a total of X amount of files. In addition to the OK and Cancel buttons at the bottom of the screen, there are 4 other buttons you can use to specify files to back up. These are 1. Include, 2. Exclude, 3. Special, and 4. Display. The Include choice enables you to use wildcards to ensure that particular groups of file names are always included in the file name list. This option would be very helpful with database files. The Exclude button enables you to always skip certain file names, guaranteeing that they will never take up space unnecessarily on your backup disks. This option could be helpful with game programs or other unimportant data. The Special button displays the Special Selection screen. This allows you to include or filter out specific groups of files, such as hidden or system files, or files within a particular date range. This screen contains 5 checkboxes. The first checkbox, Apply Date Range, will instruct the backup set to back up only those files whose files are within the From and To range that you specify. Checking one or more from the bottom 4 groups makes it easier to exclude from backup any files that fall into the categories listed: Copy Protected, Read Only, System, and Hidden. Selecting the Display button from the bottom of the Select Backup Files screen brings up the Display option screen. You can specify from this screen various orders for the file names that are included in your selection display. This display is useful for the sorting of file names by name, extension, size, date, or attribute. Check the box Group Selected Files if you intend to back up only a few files from one or more large directories. Checking this box ensures that the file names you selected will appear at the top of the file list when you display the contents of each directory in the Select Backup Files window. Finally, in the display screen, you can use the File Filter field if you plan to back up only a certain type of file. Only files that match the wildcard specification will appear in the file list. For example, if you create a backup set to back up your database files, you can set the filter equal to *.dbf. This field value is temporary and is always reset to ** whenever you return to the Select Files choice on the main backup screen. On the initial backup screen, in the bottom right, there is an Option button. When you view this screen, you can see that most of these options are self-explanatory. For example, you would choose Password if the data you're saving should be secured from easy view, or the prompt before overwriting used diskettes if you have so many diskettes lying around that you're worried you might accidentally use an important disk during backup. This option enables you to view the contents of the old disk before overwriting with backup data. The Use Error Correction on Diskettes option helps to ensure the integrity of the saved files and makes it easier to resort files from a backup set which may have experienced some damage of the physical disks. During the backup process, MS Backup displays timing, progress, and compression statistics. At the end of the process, a Backup Complete box appears in the middle of the screen. The Backup Complete box summarizes the procedure, and if you look closely, it shows the overall performance as well. Notice that MS Backup spent a total of X amount of seconds backing up the selected files. It also shows the time wasted in X amount of seconds putting the backup disk into the drive after MS Backup prompted us for it. In older versions of DOS, each time you booted your computer, you had little control over what tasks DOS performed as it booted. For example, DOS always executed the configuration systems file followed by the autoexec bat file. This lack of control caused problems. Usually, the problems occur when you add new hardware or software to your computer. The documentation for these new additions into your system will sometimes suggest that you rename or remove your configuration systems and autoexec bat files temporarily in order to begin isolating the problem. If you have a problem, it offers an easy way to bypass and allow you to begin isolating your computer's problem. To skip all commands in both configuration systems and autoexec bat files, just press the F5 key when DOS displays the power-up message starting MS-DOS. Or, instead of pressing F5 to bypass all the commands in both files, you can press F8. This will give you control over all commands. Each command in the configuration system file appears, followed by a Y or N request. This process is extremely helpful during tough debugging sequences. It's easier than editing the file repeatedly, making sure to disable various commands and saving changes. You simply reboot, press F8, and tell DOS each time which command to process. This enables you to easily check any combination of commands as part of your debugging. Unfortunately, this same command is not available when the autoexec bat file is processed. Instead, the F8 key merely asks if you wish to process autoexec bat, YN. If you answer yes to this question, then DOS runs all the command lines from your autoexec bat file. If you answer no at this point, DOS will skip the entire set of autoexec bat instructions. There are no other options. One of the most helpful features in DOS 6.0 is the ability to create a specialized startup menu within the configuration system file. It enables you to choose several possible configurations when you power up your system. In the past, if you wished to configure your system in different ways at different times, you had to create several different configuration system files. You then had to be sure to name, rename, or relocate the preferred configuration file in the root directory of the boot drive just prior to powering up or rebooting the system. DOS 6.0 offers a special set of configuration commands that manage many different system configurations within the definition of a single configuration system file. Here's a sample of 3 configurations within one configuration system file. The main startup menu begins with a heading line that consists of the square bracketed expression menu. Each line that follows the menu block header line must be one of the following special commands. Menu item equals the block name followed by a comma, a left square bracket, menu text, right square bracket. The menu item is the most common command line you will use. Each menu item defines a unique configuration block that exists elsewhere in the configuration system file. Each separate configuration block defines a unique group of commands that will be executed if the associated menu item choice is made during power on choices. The menu default equals the block name followed by a comma, a left square bracket, a number right square bracket. This command will allow you to choose a block that will automatically execute after a few seconds to load the configuration block. If you type any number when the menu appears, DOS stops its timer countdown and waits for you to press Enter to continue the configuration system processing. The menu color equals text color is a number followed by a comma and a background color. This is also a number. For example, 0, 3 will give you black text on a cyan background. You can experiment on your own with these and find the one you like best. The common block that appears in the bottom of the sample configuration systems file includes commands that would be in each block. DOS will execute all commands found in this block. Commonly used command lines are files equals 30, DOS equals high buffers equals 20. However, your system and software may require different commands. Check your manuals and documentation for help. At this point, you may want to take some additional notes regarding the following configuration systems file. Thank you for watching.